Hey, sorry, been a crazy week. This week in MSCI 343, you have a single deadline, which is milestone 1 due on Wednesday, end of day Eastern time. So hopefully you've been able to engage with your potential users and start to characterize the problem, the tasks, and the user descriptions that you need for that milestone, arriving at a set of requirements. Now, for this, I want to reiterate that you're to focus on the problem and not start to think about potential solutions. So don't think about it being an app, don't have an idea for a website. Try not to presuppose any of the solutions that you need. There must be an opportunity for a contribution. You are going to try and develop a solution, but don't think of the form of it yet. Just think about, oh, we could do something to try and solve this problem that we think exists, and we're going to try and characterize it as much as possible. We'll get to design the solution later in milestone 2 and onwards, so don't worry about that. And typically in the design process, you start to mix and match. You think about the potential solutions while you're analyzing the problem. But for this class, we really want to separate those concerns so that you can focus on gathering requirements, engaging with potential users, and thinking about the problem in the problem space. Beyond that, we've released several new lectures 8 through 13, which cover designing alternatives and prototyping. And that gives you everything you need to know for assignment 3, which is due next week. And then milestone 2, which is due in 3 weeks, because next week is a full week. The week after is our reading break, and then we'll have milestone 2 due. So for that one, you'll start to design initial prototypes. So what I would do this week is I would start by going through finishing up milestone 1, obviously with your group, and then I would start on the lectures. You can do those over this week and next week to get you to assignment 3, which will then help you do milestone 2. So start by finishing up your milestone 1, then go through the lectures, do your assignment 3, and while you're wrapping that up next week, you can start to work on your second milestone. So that's what I focus on. I'll check in again next week to make sure everything's working well. Couple things to mention while we're here. First is for the TA and instructor office hours. My office hours are Mondays 1 to 2 p.m. TAs are on Wednesdays, possibly both in the morning and the afternoon, depending on when they're available. So what I recommend you do is you come to Microsoft Teams in the office hours channel. We'll be available online live, so you can text with us if you need anything, and we'll be able to respond in real time. And if you want to hop on a call, either an audio call or a video call, we'll be available to do that as well. So you just have to ping us and let us know. Otherwise, if people aren't kind of knocking on the virtual door, we're going to just keep on working, but we'll pay attention to the team. So that's how office hours works. And so that's how I advise you get a hold of us. It's the best way to get guidance on your project. And I highly recommend that you try and engage us to get feedback on your project ideas. Obviously, we're a little bit tight on time. I think that's due to the structure of the course. So if you do have any questions, talk to us quickly. Hopefully we can help out. And you can always pivot or change the idea a little bit as you move on with the project. The goal for milestone 1 is to demonstrate that you know how to gather requirements. And if you decide that, oh, you gather some more requirements later, that's totally fine. Do the best design that you possibly can. One other thing to talk about is some of the design principles. So it sounds like there's been a bit of confusion between consistency and constraints as design principles. Constraints are when you restrict the user's actions. So you constrain them to only doing things that are valid or safe. So for example, if you're in a word processor and you select some text, you can then copy and cut. But if you're not selecting anything, you just have the blinking cursor there, you can't actually cut or copy because there's nothing to copy or cut. So the button or the menu item is going to be grayed out. That means you've constrained the user to not take those actions. Same is true physically. If you have the classic example is a USB port. If you stick the USB in, it doesn't work. You turn it around, you stick it in, doesn't work. You stick it in, then it works. You have to flip it twice for some reason every single time. But if you have other types of ports like USB-C or FireWire, they constrain the orientation so that it only works one way. And if you have that, then the user can only kind of put it in a way that makes sense, and they don't make any mistakes and have to flip things around. That's quite a bit different from consistency. Consistency is making sure that the visual look and feel, the actions available, what is there is the same within the application. So different screens, like on a website or a web app, have the same top menu bar, for example. That means it's consistent. You're not going around different menus in most websites that make it very hard to navigate. It means that you always have, in a windowing system, both Windows and Mac and Linux, depending on your flavor. At the top left or the top right, you'll have a close button. It may depend on which one of those are, but it's on that top little bar, and that's how you manipulate the window. So that's external consistency. And then within an operating system, you have internal consistency, where it's always on the same side. You always know how to close it. You always know the shortcut command. Another example might be emojis. You have within a single platform, a single operating system, so Apple or a platform like Twitter, Discord, Teams, there's a certain set of emojis that look a little bit different on other applications. But within that platform, if you do the shrugging emoji, it's always that shrugging emoji. And if you go on a different platform, it looks a little bit different. So it's consistent with the look and feel of that other platform, but it's still a shrugging person, for example. And so you have that external consistency, maybe not complete external consistency, but pretty consistent across different platforms. And that means that people always know what emoji you're using. It's not just this arbitrary key combination that's working. So that's the update for this week. Feel free to ask us if you have any questions on MS Teams. Please direct all questions there. My inbox is still very scary. And so it's the best way we can respond and keep things organized. And this week, do milestone 1, then start on lectures 8 through 13, which will get you to the next assignment and the next milestone. And those are your big deadlines for the next couple of weeks. We're going to work on preparing the next lectures and hopefully get them out to you a little bit sooner so you can get ahead in the class. But, things are tricky when you're working remotely. So we'll do the best we can. Thanks, stay safe, talk to you all later.